Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another X-Pound special. My name is James Phoenix, and it is once again time to look at another Amazon Prime pilot for pilot season. Joining me, as always, for the last 3 episodes that we've done, from the Mole Hole, Chris the Mole.
And hello.
And from the Shadow's Maw, Marcus Shadow.
Sup?
So, if you've joined us on our previous episodes of this little journey we've been on, you'll see that we've already reviewed Hand of God, starring Ron Perlman. We then took a look. We then took a look at the new sitcom called Really, and last week we took a look at the psychological thriller Hysteria. Tonight we take a look at the 80s style coming of age comedy Red Oaks. I will note here for the audience, the purpose of these pilots is supposed to be to watch and vote on them and give feedback, so Amazon can decide which to pick up as full series. Unfortunately, our idea to review the pilots was kind of a spur-of-the-moment decision, and as a result, we've kind of run out of time. The voting has ended for this season. However, the episodes can still be viewed for free for the time being. How long that will last, we don't know. And we will still be doing a review for the final episode, final pilot, The Cosmopolitans, which will be next week. So that will be reviewed. But the voting is over. We are going to do this again next pilot season, which Amazon does these semi-annually, so there should be another one around January. And at that point, we will make sure we start on time and make sure that we get all the pilots reviewed within the voting period. We're not totally sure if that's going to mean multiple reviews in a week. It's going to depend on how many pilots there are and exactly what the scheduling looks like. But one way or another, we're going to make sure they're done in time for you to be able to vote after, once we give our feedback. So, with that said, we're going to go ahead and take a look, as I said, at the 80s coming-of-age comedy Red Oaks, produced by the great Steven Soderbergh, and starring Jennifer Grey and Paul Reiser, among others. I really like this pilot. This is my favorite so far, I think. The premise of this particular pilot is that the primary young man in the show, whose character's name I believe was David, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Thank you. Young David gets a summer job working at the Red Oaks Country Club. Something as the assistant tennis pro, as he's very good at tennis. He's currently in college. His father wants him to apply to the CPA program in the fall, but he's not sure he wants to do that. His father is also an accountant, and he's not sure he wants to go down that route and be like his father. But he managed to land this sweet gig for the summer at the Red Oaks Country Club, working under sleazy, chick-banging tennis pro foreign guy whose name I didn't catch. But he's hilarious. And so we see the adventures of this young man getting settled into the golf course here, meeting all the different people, the tennis players, the golfers, the members. We see his girlfriend, who is the club aerobics instructor, among a variety of other characters. At the same time, we also get some development on his parents. His father has a heart attack at the beginning, so we get some development on that and how that is affecting his parents' relationship, and kind of saying that aspect, how he's coping with that, while at the same time dealing with what's going on at the golf course. There's a lot of really funny jokes, a lot of really
Country
great stuff.
Club.
Country Club. Sorry. So it's kind of like balancing the life between the two and dealing with that, and just kind of he's kind of a sort of a nerdy kid who's just sort of coming into a life of now I'm the assistant tennis pro, so I'm kind of cool. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in this golf course, and what's going to happen. It's like it's the last summer before life really kicks off before he goes into the is he just going into college, or what's the deal there? I kind of missed that.
Number one, please stop saying golf course, because it's not a golf course. Number two, I think he's just graduated high school and he's going into college, and he really doesn't want to be a CPA. It's evident that that is not the path he would choose for himself, that he has really no interest in it, given by the fact that at the beginning of the episode he and his father are having a conversation while they're playing tennis about his grades and stuff, and he's like, you have an A in this, but you have a C in like finance or whatever it is. It's like, how do you, what are they going to think when you submit that to try to get into the CPA program? And he says quite matter-of-factly and bluntly, yeah, that I don't belong there.
Yeah.
And a C? Don't you mean a Jewish F?
Ah. Yeah, basically, he somehow managed to get a perfectly passing grade in French art, but he just barely squeaked by in accounting.
And I'm just gonna say, right now, I squeed when I saw his dad.
Yeah, Richard Kind is awesome.
I don't know. Don't name the actor. Well, the second I see him, I'm just like, yay, it's Paul!
Yeah.
I don't care whatever I see him in. He's Paul. I refuse to accept any other name. Even when he's in 2.5 Men and he guest starred on Scrubs, I'm like, it's Paul.
It's
Who?
Paul.
Who?
Paul.
Who?
Paul.
I don't know who that is.
You need to watch Spin City.
Yeah, you do. I didn't even watch it that closely, and I know who Paul is.
Yeah, Spin City was awesome.
It was.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, it was great. It was great to see him there. I was glad he didn't die. I was like, oh come on, you're not gonna introduce him and then kill him off in 5 minutes. Fuck you, show. But no, he was okay.
Yeah, I have to say that was cool. Some of the casting in these pilots has been awesome, and just like little surprises. Like I didn't expect to see Paul in an Amazon pilot. Like I didn't expect to see Baby from Dirty Dancing in the same pilot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, I haven't seen her for ages. And yay, no one put her in a corner.
Ah. There you go.
So, yeah, the pilot was good. I had some issues with it. I'll just say that right off the bat.
Okay.
They set some things up that make us think it's going to go one direction, but it's so obvious that I have a feeling it's not going to go in that direction, but it still could, obviously, because they have it set up that way, and I'm just like, I don't know that I like that they made that obvious.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be one of two possible outcomes, and I'm expecting one or the other, so it's like there's not going to be that many surprises on that front. And like, I don't know, I kind of like the setup of the story, but like I said, it seems kind of very directed in your face with the setups, which I don't know that I like. I don't know that I like that they're saying it's going to go down this path.
To be fair, that works for some shows like this when they're meant to be more historically based in terms of the settings. It's 80s based. Like How I Met Your Mother dragged on the premise of, okay, this is going to be going down the path of him meeting the mother, and then it branches off into all these other directions. It made the show last for like, what was it, 10 seasons?
Mm-hmm. I didn't say it needs to branch or anything. I'm just saying because like they set up pretty early on and pretty clearly that David's girlfriend is banging some other dude, and that David has the hots for, spoilers, the daughter of the owner.
Who was Paul Reiser?
And it's like, it was Paul Reiser, who was brilliant in this. I didn't even realize. I recognized it. I was like, I know that guy, and I didn't realize it was Paul Reiser because I'm not used to Paul Reiser looking that old.
Yeah.
And when I saw the name on the thing, I was like, that's right, Paul Reiser was in this. I was like, oh shit, that was Paul Reiser. But yeah, he does a brilliant job. But I'm just like, they kind of beat you over the head with that setup to the point, like I said, at the end, and I was speaking with Jim about this after we watched it, because we watched it together. I was like, I don't know that I like it's that direct. I don't know that I like that they're basically saying we're either going to go down this path or we're going to psych you out and not go down that path, and David and the girlfriend are going to stay together. It's going to be one or the other. I mean, they could swerve it and do something completely different, but then that would kind of defeat the purpose of the setup, in my opinion.
Well, no, I think the purpose of the setup is to make you expect something and then blow your mind.
Yep.
Maybe.
And to be fair, That works with so many things, and
does.
I will say that's a little vague, saying the setup is either A, this thing will happen, or B, this thing won't happen, in which case, either way, I'm not surprised. That's like saying, well, yeah, when you watched Star Wars, you wouldn't have liked it. They kept building the fact that Luke was going to help him take out the Death Star, because either A, he was going to take out the Death Star, or B, he wasn't going to take out the Death Star.
There is logic in what he said.
Option B cannot be everything else could happen. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not saying everything else. I'm just saying either they're going to stay together or shit's going to happen because they're banging other people.
Well, duh. That's every show that has ever involved relationships. That's like saying, well, either Ross and Rachel are going to stay together, or they're gonna, they're gonna bang Joey and some other chick and not stay together. And well, obviously, because there's only
Hey.
two possibilities.
hey, they did not bang other people. They want a break.
Fair enough.
No, but I guess what I'm saying is I don't like that it was so direct and so obvious, if that makes sense. Like, I would have preferred if there was a little more subtlety in the setup, because as I mentioned again to Jim at the end of it, the way they set everything up to make it seem like the girlfriend is going to go bang his other douchehole, and he's got the hots for the owner's daughter. It was so hitting you over the head with it, and so in your face with it, that to a point I was like, it's almost too obvious
Yeah.
the way
Now,
they're setting this up, and I didn't like that.
Now, I just let me check real quick. The guy that the girlfriend was trying to bang, that is also the douche nozzle former boyfriend of Hot Blonde Chick, who's now hanging out with I Want to Be Jonah Hill in a golf cart, right?
No, that's a different character.
Okay, I couldn't
Yeah.
remember.
But I will say it works because it's a pilot and it's meant to make you want to see more and stuff. I think that kind of works because I get the feeling with that it's very possible the girlfriend is just an afterthought, because this is his coming of age. This is where he's had his high school sweetheart, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a little lovey-dovey. Then coming through the season, they could easily break up, go with the other girl that he's discovered, and she could be his real true love, and that's where the story could start beginning.
This is true.
Yeah, and like I said, that seems like where they're going with it, but it seems so like hitting you over the head with it. It seems so obvious that it's too obvious. And I don't think the girlfriend is an afterthought, considering they spent most of the episode building that relationship up, even to the point of them talking about it, more her talking to him about it, but them talking about like moving in together and about their future and stuff. It's like they completely built this relationship up, so I don't view it as an afterthought at all.
But they only did that for the purpose of her saying all this and then panning to his face, showing that he clearly is not interested in any of that shit and is not ready for that. That was the purpose of bringing that up, is to show, oh, he's not actually ready for that, and this is what's going to drive them apart.
Yeah, she could be non-afterthought. I don't know. I just meant they could have built all that up so that when the breakup happens in like an episode or 2 episodes,
Mhm.
and you see him then do the normal comedy thing of how he spirals into a depression and stuff, it makes it more understandable for us, the audience, why, because the relationship's been built up so heavy.
Right, which is fine. I have no problem with how they built it up and stuff. In fact, that's one of the strengths of this is
Yeah.
that the relationships, lover or otherwise, platonic or otherwise, between the characters, at least what I view to be the primary characters of this story, they actually built it up very, very well. I just didn't like the fact that they basically gave you a giant-ass road sign that said, show heading this direction. I was just like, you could have done it a little more subtly, guys. And like Mole always says, make your audience think. Don't hold their hands, because then that gets expectation. And like I said, to me, I almost had an anti-expectation because of how in your face it was, how direct it was. I was like, no, it's too obvious at this point. I get the feeling they're going to go a different direction with this, but it could go either way because I'm not the writers. This could be the direction they intended to go. In which case, if that is the direction they intended to go, yeah, way too direct with that stuff. You should have been more subtle.
But I feel like it's going to be more along the lines of this is the coming of age summer, so it's going to be like, he's probably going to be with both these girls and have to, it's going to be a fight over, okay, which of these girls is really right for my future, if either of them are right for my future. And at the
Right.
same time, it's also going to be about, do I want either of these girls? Or, what exactly do I want to be? I mean, he's got options. He can go with either of those girls. He could take his mentor Nash's advice and just be the ultimate tennis pro and bang all the chicks. Or, that could happen. Or he could, any number of things. He could, hell, the girl would go break up with him and he could spiral into a Peter Parker emu dance mode. I mean, anything could happen.
I'm going to say I don't think he will be the tennis pro that bangs all the chicks based on his character, because
Yeah,
to
I
me,
know.
one of the strengths of this was it was part Caddyshack, part
Hamina.
yeah, part Caddyshack, part Wonder Years, with just a little
I-
bit The Graduate thrown in there.
Yes.
I
And
definitely
one of the
got Wonder
things,
Years feel.
yeah, one of the things I loved with Caddyshack, with how it was built, was the mentor was this big, like, over the top, brash Chevy Chase character, who was like obviously like more sophisticated and stuff, and his rookie was clearly not going to turn into him, but was going to become something similar, but not quite that. And I get that vibe with the mentor and him. You know what I mean? I get that kind of
Yeah.
Caddyshack vibe, but then I get the Wonder Years vibe of how it's going. But yeah, Graduate vibe with like, where does his life go at this point? And I like that. This film felt so 80s, which is great because it's set in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's like, because I hate it when films just are like, oh, we're going to be set in the 80s, or we're going to be set in the 90s, or the 70s, or the 60s, and it feels like a modern day story in that setting. This felt like this felt like the 80s films and TV shows and stuff in an 80s setting. That's wonderful. I like this.
Yeah, you're
Sex, drugs and rock and roll.
Yeah, you're very right about the Wonder Years, because I was literally the entire episode waiting for the narration to kick in.
Yeah.
Well, that was my summer starting off at the country club. What did my future hold? I don't know. I was waiting for that to kick in, but yeah, I feel like
I don't remember any of the Wonder Years where he's gone and then said the answer. I don't remember any of those. I might have to go back and rewatch.
asshole.
That'd be an outtake.
But I feel like what was something that could happen. It's given that he's the kind of guy that he's trying to fit into whatever. I could see like if the girlfriend breaks up with him, that could like mess him up for a little while, and it might be like, oh, the girlfriend broke up with me, I don't know what to do. So he'd be like, well, I'm gonna try to be like Nash because that seems like a cool thing to do, and he'll give it a shot, but it'll be painfully obvious that it's not for him, and he'll fail at every return as Nash is trying to coach him into being that kind of guy. And at the end, he'll either on his own realize it's not him, or B, Paul Reiser's hot daughter will, basically point out to him that he's acting like a royal douchebag, and that real women like her would want nothing to do with him acting like that, and he'll snap out of it.
Yeah. I also get the suspicion there may be more to the mentor than what we saw.
Well, he has a wife we haven't seen. That could be interesting.
I don't mean that. I mean, I kind of see him being, and comedies have used this trope, but so have normal dramas and stuff. But it happens a lot in comedies. I can kind of see it being, like you said, if he spiraled and he started to become like the mentor, I can see him at some point finding out about the mentor and finding out that outside of the country club, the mentor's not happy. The mentor just doesn't have a because he seems to be too happy, if that makes sense. Like he's putting on an act.
Yeah.
And I think that means there's some sort of depression there that we can dive into, or I could totally see him seeing like, okay, do I want to end? And that could be the thing, instead of like, will this girl save me? It could be, do I want to be like this guy, or do I actually really want actual happiness? And that could be the decision. Which I think that's a possibility.
I could totally believe that, because I mean that guy, yeah, he's obviously the man at the country club, but it's also obvious that A, he doesn't want anything to do with his wife, so something's up with his family outside the country club, and B, it's stated outright that he has no education. He asks, why would you bother going to college? Which leads to believe that he's trying to play cool. I go, I need to go to college. I'm cool. Maybe he wishes he had done something more with his life than just be a tennis pro. And he even mentions the fact that, oh yeah, I said that I beat this guy or that guy, but that guy was 12 when I beat him, not the pro that he is today. And about how half of his reputation is a complete fucking lie.
Yep. But yeah, like I said, I really like this one. It's a toss up for me between this and really, but I like this. it hit, in my opinion, it hit all the right notes.
It
It
did.
looked like it was supposed to look. I mean, it looked 80s, but it wasn't like too try-hard 80s like some parody stuff will do.
Yeah.
It felt like a real heart story. Like there was a real heart there. I liked the character, I liked the acting.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. Every part of this hit the right notes for me.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It did seem like they threw in superfluous boobs, but I'm not going to complain about boobs. So
Yeah, but to be fair, it's meant to be like an 80s thing.
true.
There was loads of shots like that in 80s films.
Yep, I'm perfectly fine with gratuitous boobage.
Also,
I
I
will
like.
say the other. Oh, go ahead.
I was also going to say I want to learn more about I want to be Jonah Hill in a golf cart over there. That's his kid.
Yeah.
That's his character's name. That's what I'm calling him. But he seemed like a funny character. It was interesting how he was kind of helping the blonde chick come out of her funk, and it seemed like yes, he wants to bang her, but it also seemed like he genuinely cares about her. He's not just being a horny guy that just wants to sleep with her, unlike the other asshole. So I think it could be interesting to see where that relationship goes and how he kind of maybe he rises up from being a valet to being something more.
Yeah, that could be cool. I like that relationship. I will say the other thing that felt a little bit off to me, and again, another thing I mentioned to Jim, who kind of disagreed with me. I felt, given the pilots that we've seen so far, I felt this was a little bit short to be an Amazon pilot.
Not really. It was about the same length as really.
In fact, it was about 5 minutes longer.
Was it? I thought really it was longer. Okay, fair
No,
enough.
really,
I don't know, I
really?
guess it just felt short.
No, really was 27 minutes. This was 31.
Well, you know what they say, time flies when you're having fun. But no,
This is true.
because some of the other ones
That's
felt
what I
longer
was-
because they dragged.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that maybe this one felt shorter to me compared to really because I actually enjoyed this one.
Yeah. Because you want to see more. It felt like, oh, is it over already? That's what happens with good TV.
Yeah, but I was gonna say with the Amazon pilots, there's no set length. It depends on the type of show. Like the sitcom comedies will get like 30 minutes. Children's shows will get 30 minutes. But like the more drama ones get like the hour, like they would on TV. So it makes sense.
Like Law and Order and NCIS and crap like that.
Fair enough. But yeah, the pacing was great on this. The
Yeah.
writing
Wow.
was really good. The acting was good.
Yeah.
Can I just say, wow, I'm really surprised by that, Jim.
What?
You were trying to think of shows that were like an hour long when you're on TV with the adverts and shit in them, and the number one you didn't say was Person of Interest.
I know. Or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I feel terrible.
Yeah, and instead you list two, which I'm pretty sure you don't watch. Or at least you don't watch one of them.
No, I don't watch NCIS. I watch Law and Order SVU, or at least I used to before they got rid of Stabler.
You definitely need to watch NCIS.
I've heard it's good.
NCIS, in my opinion, maybe, except for possibly Fraser, may be the greatest.
Fraser's
spin-off.
awesome.
It may be the greatest spin-off of all time.
Fair enough.
NCIS is awesome. You're talking about the original NCIS, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
However, I will say NCIS Los Angeles may be one of the worst spin-offs of all time.
See, I like NCIS LA, but I do like the original too. Gibbs is a fucking badass.
When are people going to learn that putting spinning your show up into LA doesn't work? They already tried that with Law and Order and it bombed horribly.
So like I said, I actually like NCIS LA. I've seen many episodes of it. I like the chemistry of that cast, but this isn't an NCIS.
Yeah, well, I will say I did hate
We'll get back to that later. Getting back to Red Oaks, I'm also interested to see if we follow the development of whatever the hell's going on with David's parents, because they're hilarious. Because he's trying to bang Asian nurses, and she's clearly a lesbian or bisexual. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and I will say one of the other reasons I may have got a Wonder Year vibe, the actor. The main actor, especially with that hair, he reminds me of the main character
Fred
from the
Savage.
Wonder Years, growing up, or like his brother Corey in Boy Meets World. He looks like those.
boy meets world. Yeah, that's true. He does.
He looks
You are
like
right.
those, and I'm like, that's wonderful. It makes me root for him more. But at the same time, that guy in the golf cart you mentioned, I can see him going one of two ways. I see him either being the comic relief character that we like because he's the funny one, or I can actually see him being almost the equal main character. Because you know what I mean? Like some shows, while this guy's meant to be the main character, like for example, for example, How I Met Your Mother. He was supposed to, obviously, the narrator and stuff, he was supposed to be the main character, but due to the underdogness with certain love stuff and the coolness and the funniness and stuff, arguably Barney rose up, played by Neil Patrick Harris, to be the equal main character, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So I could see it being sort of that.
I can agree with that.
I'm hoping it's the second, because I always liked them.
Yeah, apparently the guy playing the secondary character, the actor's name is Oliver Cooper, and in addition to being in The Hangover Part 3, he also had a long stint running on the show Californication, so that's cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see where that character goes. Also, it's worth noting that blonde douchebag guy is actually being played by Josh Myers, who is the brother of one Seth Meyers, current host of Late Night with Seth Meyers.
Yep. Also, one of the actors is Welsh.
Really? Which one?
I don't know.
No.
I just saw that someone mentioned one of the actors was Welsh, and I was like, okay, cool.
Okay, fair enough. That's cool.
It didn't matter that one of them was from the UK. They had me at Paul. Jim, they had me at Paul.
I'm sure they did.
They had us at Paul too, but a different Paul.
No.
No, they had me at that Paul too.
Yay! Yeah, the second I saw him, I'm like, it's Paul!
Yeah, I saw him, and the first thing I thought, because I think the problem is I didn't watch Spin City as much as you, so I'm like, oh, it's Spin City guy. I can't remember his name, but it's Spin City guy.
Yeah, I used to love Spin City, and I'll admit, I even watched it after Michael J. Fox left, and it wasn't as bad as some people went out.
Charlie Sheen wasn't terrible on that show.
No.
That was before he was winning.
Yeah. But, yeah, like I said, this show, like I said, it hit all the right notes to me. I definitely want to see more of this F show. I would totally watch the hell out of this show.
Also, is it just because Paul Reiser did an amazing job, but would it not have also been equally amazing if the older owner of the club guy was the mayor from Spin City?
Yep.
I love that guy.
I will say, when I saw the older club guy, I thought it was the mayor from Spin City at first. I saw him like, wait, is that the mayor? Until I look at his face close, I'm like, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Then I just need Stewart and Carter to show up, and I'd be happy.
There you go.
More stuff needs Stewart and Carter, damn it.
It does.
But no, like I said, I like this.
Yeah, it's a great show. It's got a great feel to it. It's got that 80s show feel. You want to see more. The characters are likable and fun to be around, and it's just something you really get yourself into. So I think it works really well. And I think of the shows, all the episodes we've seen so far, this one has, I think, the strongest connection to an audience, and it's got the most ability to make you want to see more and to really feel, the characters and feel like you want to see more of the show. So I think this one is definitely, so far, my pick to be made into a full series, because I would watch that.
But yeah, I could see this being made into a series. Like I said before, the pacing in this show was almost spot on. Like they included so many different plot lines in this show, but they didn't dwell on them, so it never felt like it dragged.
Yeah.
And the transitioning between scenes and storylines was done very well. This is just a very well-made show. But then again, Steven Soderbergh, so what do you expect?
Yeah, pretty much.
To be fair, I don't think we've had any really badly made TV shows.
No, I don't think anything badly made, but they're all different. They've all had slightly different issues. So far, Hand of God had way too many plot points, shoved in there at once. It was a little hard to follow. Hysteria had just terrible everything except the premise. Really was pretty good, I'll give you that much, but the characters weren't really all that developed in the first episode, so aside from the main couple, you didn't really care much about a lot of those characters, what was going on. You didn't really know them. After watching this, I feel like I know all the characters in this show, and then I care about them, and I want to see what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, true, although I would argue the character thing with really isn't a negative. As I pointed out in the thing, because they want it to be realistic, and that's why it's funny, if you like that type of genre, if you will, the fact that they're all similar makes sense because people are that similar in real life when you hang out together.
This is true. But yeah, I do like this one, so I guess we should rate the sucker and go to bed.
I'm not going to bed. I don't know about you two, but
Are you hitting on me?
I think he's hitting on you.
Yeah. If you think Marcus is hitting on us, please leave a comment below. And just because this is the pilot season, if you think I should go to bed with Marcus Shadow, leave a comment below. Vote below.
Yeah. So what are we rating this out of? I keep forgetting what our scale
We
is.
we rate these out of 10.
Yeah, no, I'd say everyone should rate it how they want to. It's up to them.
Well, I'm saying in the past we've all rated them all out of 10. So
Yeah. Because
I'm gonna rate this 9 out of 10.
Okay, fair enough. Because I will say, starting with this one, I'm doing a different rating system.
okay.
Only because I'm kind of bored with rating stuff out of 10 and shit, because then it comes, wait, is this actually better than that, or what? So I'm just going to go the easier route of, and this one will be easier because it's only got 2, of watch or avoid. But I'm going to say, watch this show if you like shows like The Wonder Years, or if you like shows like, you know what I mean, or the 80s films, like I mentioned, like Breakfast Club, for example, or any of those types of films. I'd definitely say give this a rating, or sorry, give this a try. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up and say, watch it. That's the simplest way to rate this, I think.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, if you like period style stuff like that 70s show, but you like the 80s, yeah, watch this show.
And I think anyone who grew up in the 80s is now feeling old because you just refer to the 80s as a period piece, which they normally use for like
Yes.
Victorian England.
Wow.
Yes, well,
Good job.
American period piece. Yes, but yes, 80s is now considered period. Sorry to say, we are old people. Those of us who were born in the 80s, we are now officially old. Deal
You
with
are.
it.
You are.
Yeah, of course you are. Of course you are, Marcus Shadow. You were born in the 1880s.
Yeah.
Oh,
I will say I felt old with something like that the other day.
Oh?
Watching TV, and it came on TV with "Buy it now! All those oldies songs you love in this hit collection, songs of the 90s." I'm like, you're sucking my youth, TV. No, I feel like it was the ghost from Poltergeist was coming through my TV and sucking my youth.
Wow.
Okay then.
But yes, Marcus is rating.
I am. Jim, your final thoughts and take us out.
No, I did.
No, you didn't rate it, Marcus.
No,
Yeah, he did.
we got halfway when we sort of sidetracked, but yeah.
You know, Marcus did say 9 out of 10 before you spoke, though.
9 out of
Yes,
10.
I
Cool.
did rate it. Yeah, I liked it.
Fair enough.
And I even used your rating system. Like I said, if you like period stuff, like that 70s show style, but you like the 80s, watch this show.
Yeah,
It's very indicative of the 80s without spoofing it, which in this day and age is hard to do because a lot of 80s stuff you see, it spoofs the 80s, and some of that stuff, while was kind of indicative of the times, is kind of ridiculous.
Mhm.
This show does it without the ridiculosity, in my opinion, which
I
kudos to that.
It's like when you get 90s stuff and they always
Yeah.
put like the baseball cap backwards or skateboard.
Yeah, it's got to be grunge and extreme.
Yeah, and it's like, but come on, while we did have that stuff in the 90s, there was also that movement of more of a just rebellion, in my opinion. At least for me personally, that's how it felt, like more of a rebellious period, not a let's just extreme because we like BMXing. It's like, no,
Pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
I miss my BMX. I mean, no, I didn't have a BMX. I didn't have a BMX.
You know, you got a finger bike.
See, you know,
No.
this is actually... yeah, fingerboard. There you go. But yeah, I'm going to say this because I didn't think I'd ever actually say this. But I think this series, compared to every other series we've seen, I think the M rating helps this series and makes it what it is. Because it's M rated, they can show the 80s without making it over the top, without, like I said, doing the ridiculosity, because they focus on more of the mature stuff. And to use wrestling terms, I guess it was more 90s, but it's like an attitude era, basically, with the sex, the drugs, and the rock and roll, which if you go like a PG or a PG-13, you can't really show that to the levels at which it permeated society at that point.
Yep. Which
But because it's an M rating, you can show that stuff, and you can actually show it in your face. Just boom, this is the 80s. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, and no regrets. And that's why you have the gratuitous boobs, and you have the drinking left and right, and the smoking weed and stuff, because that shit happened in the 80s, and this show can show it. And because it can show all that, it doesn't have to do the ridiculous stuff to say this is 80s, which kudos to that. I like that.
I think it's the 80s. I'm pretty sure all that shit still happens now.
Yes, but that's kind of when it happened with the big 80s rock bands with the big hair, which they did some of the big hair in this, but again, they didn't go over the top. That's where it started. Because
you also had that in the 70s.
You did. That's kind of when it was coming up, but the 80s is when it was full blown, and that's when you had all the 80s rock bands. That was basically that was the big era of the sex and drug stuff, because that's when a lot of the drugs came to the forefront.
See, I thought the drugs would have come to the forefront with the hippies in the 70s that were always doing it.
Well, it was the hippies were actually mostly in the 60s doing it, is when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I understood what
This
Marcus
isn't a
was
debate
about.
on social errors, though. Let's get back to the TV show at hand.
But that's what I just said. I said I understand what Marcus was getting at now, and I will say I agree the M rating helped, but I will also say I'm of the opinion the M rating helped all of them.
Yeah.
I think the M rating was probably good for Hysteria, and I still maintain that Hand of God didn't need the M rating, and I feel that the M rating hurt that one. Just because, like we said in the review, a lot of that stuff seemed gratuitous and just in there because they had the M rating, which I'm like, eh.
To be fair, I didn't think that. In fact, I thought one of the best parts of Hand of God was the prick with blood, and it just ran through the hall, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was great, and it needed it for that. But yeah.
Yeah, but you don't need an M rating to show that. You can show that in a PG-13.
Can't show a trail of blood. I don't think.
I think they might have been allowed you to show the trail of blood, but they wouldn't have allowed you to show him repeatedly stabbing his son in the foot to get the trail of blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
But
Fair enough.
What did Jim think?
I give it 5 out of 5 Pauls.
Nice. Is everything going to be rated out Pauls from now on?
It should be. Anyway.
And if it's got 0 Pauls, you have to say it's got the bagel.
Haha.
If anyone remembers that episode, pros to you.
Nice. But yeah, overall it was a really great premise. It pulled me in. I love these characters. I want to see what happens to these characters more than I want to see what happens in the other 3 we've watched so far. I really, really enjoyed this show. I could see myself watching this if I felt like paying for Amazon Prime. I could see myself watching this, when the whole series, the season was released. I could see myself sitting down and watching this, watching it in a night to follow the adventures of these characters, see what's happening at this country club. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of great characters. The jokes were funny. The characters were funny. It was overall just, and it had, like most said, it had heart. It had just a great feel, it cared, and it made you want to care, and that was great about it. But yeah, full rating, I would agree with Marcus. I give it a 9 out of 10. I think it was really has a lot of potential and a lot of way to go, and I would say that's definitely the best one I've seen so far. So, if there are no further thoughts, we're going to take this home. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me.
You're welcome.
And we would pick the next one, but there's, of course, only one left. So since it falls, I believe, to are you Marcus Shadow? Is that correct?
No, it's Mole.
Is it Mole? Well, since it falls to you, Mole, would you like to announce the final pilot?
We seem to not have Mole on audio.
Apparently, he would not.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was speaking, but yeah. Basically, I said it's called Cosmopolitans, and basically, to me, it looks like Dawson's Creek in Paris, which I'm all for.
Mm-hmm. As long as there's crying Dawson.
And then to end our little tryst into Amazon Pilot's Land, I will be hosting the final episode of this special where we take a look back at all of them and discuss them all as one and kind of give our final thoughts.
And then Jim will be hosting the final one from that, in which we all discuss how Marcus Shadow did hosting the final one, and give our final thoughts and opinions.
Oh, and by the way, Jim, I'm going to say this on air right now because we're on air. To keep the the rotation going, that means you get first pick of the next season. So, yeah.
No, that means you do, because I'm doing this one and Mola's doing the final one. But I guess if we're counting the wrap-up, then yes, I would.
Yes.
Fair
I'd
enough.
say I'd say when it comes to the next one, just whoever picks, because we won't remember in a few months.
Okay, so that has been it for this episode. Stay tuned next week. We'll see you for Cosmopolitans to wrap this up. Have a good night, everybody.
Cosmopolitan? No, I'm all out of chocolate.